Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario from the heart of the Deep South on the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to the BellisarioSonic YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing the 2024 vinyl tag. And I kind of had some difficulties picking which one I wanted to do. I really didn't want to create my own. There's already quite a few out there. But I ran across one that I thought would be interesting to do by Niamh, the Prog nerd. So I'm going to do hers. It's called Intro 224 Vinyl Tag. And I picked hers because I thought it'd be kind of fun to do somebody who's from a different generation than I am, a different age group. And so some of the things that she picked, I would not have picked. And so it kind of made it fun to do this. So there's 16 different prompts, and I'm going to go through those and show you the records. And I think there was a lot of cool things I came across in 2023. And so I'm just going to go right through these and show you some records and talk about some of the ones some of the prompts here that kind of made me walk around my house for 30 minutes because I wouldn't have really thought about them. Anyway, here we go. The first one is an album from a band that I discovered in 2023. And there was 3 of them I picked. It was hard to pick. There was actually quite a few new bands, especially in the jazz genre, modern jazz genre, that I'd not heard of. First one is this wonderful Phronesis band that recorded a live album. This actually came out in 2022. This version of it is an extended version of 2-record set. Wonderful if you like avant-garde, hard-hitting jazz. These guys can just smoke. Unbelievable playing on kind of a clear blue vinyl. I had never heard of them before until this year, and I picked this album up and totally blown away by it. I did a full album review of this, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out. We did a Jazz Nerds video on that, Greg and I, and did a full review of this, and this is on Edition Records. Wonderful. If you like modern jazz, check it out. The other one, there's 2 other ones. Trilak Gertu, who I've not heard of, wonderful percussion player. This is absolutely just unbelievable if you like percussive albums. That's kind of in the jazz vein, but it's a 2-record set. This also has the great Simon Phillips on drums on here, and you've got kind of a jazz element to it, but there's heavy percussive. This is a wonderful album. If you get a chance, pick it up. I really dig it. Another artist that I came across, again, in the jazz realm, Mio Hazama, wonderful arranger. This is also on Edition Records. Kind of a avant-garde, as weird as it sounds, big band album, because it's kind of almost a progressive big band sound. It's a pretty cool album. I also picked some of her stuff up on CD that wasn't available on record. That's how much I liked her. But this is a really good album called Imaginary Visions. So those 3 were artists that are bands that I discovered in 2023. An album from a band I saw live last year. That's the second one. Unfortunately, I didn't see a lot of people live last year, so I don't have one for that. A 10-inch album is the third one. What I ended up picking was this 10-inch box set Toy by David Bowie. Wonderful. If you're a Bowie fan, you have to get your hands on this. This is, I think, 6 10-inch records in this box set. I'm going to show them to you really quick because I like the way they did the packaging on this. Comes with the booklet in there with the little pull string there to pull the records out. So you have a really nice booklet in here. And this is, Bowie was just one of my favorite artists because you couldn't stick him in a box. He just did his own thing and was always looking to try new things. And so I'm a big Bowie fan, and I recommend getting your hands on this. The records come in these cool sleeves, 2 10-inch records per sleeve. Very nice packaging, but what's really cool is the way that they did these records, which are kind of on retro sleeves and with kind of retro looking labels. And so you've got 6 records. You've got the Toy album. You've got Unplugged and Somewhat Slightly Electric. 2 albums, 2 10-inch records for that. And then you've got alternate takes and extras in this. And they all come in kind of the same packaging. So I recommend this if you're a Bowie fan. All 10-inch records, pretty cool. little set there. And even the inside's kind of got the graphics on there. So pretty nice. This is pretty well done. And again, if you're a Bowie fan, pretty cool. All right. Next up, your favorite colored pressing. Now, I'm not a huge colored record fan. I don't mind them, but sometimes they're getting a lot better than they used to be, I think. You know, they used to kind of not sound as good as the black records, and I think that's come a long way. But I don't like the fact that a lot of them I can't see if there's dust on them and stuff like that. It's hard to look at them. So that's kind of why I don't prefer them most of the time. But this is pretty cool. Attack on Titan original soundtrack, triple LP. Ran across this online, went and listened to it, and I really liked it because it's something kind of out of my wheelhouse. A lot of diverse music here. I do recommend it, but this really has a cool kind of explosion tie-dye blue. Check it out. Isn't that pretty cool? And these soundtracks for the Attack on Titan come in a variety of these different colors. So I like that one. I like this triple album, and it's pretty cool as far as colored vinyl goes. All right, the next one, an album that I think deserves more attention. Yes, I did a full video on this, and I can't believe that it still hasn't gotten any recognition by jazz fans. This is a wonderful record by Simon Phillips. Recorded Little Big Beat, and this was recorded directly to analog. I think it was mastered in digital, but it sounds fantastic, and this is some wonderful playing. If you like modern jazz, Simon Phillips kills it on this. Very intense playing. Greg Howe, phenomenal guitar player. Ernest Tibbs on bass. Otmaro Ruiz on keys. And again, the great Simon Phillips on drums. This is a wonderful record that definitely deserves more attention. They were sold out on Amazon, and now they're back on there. So I recommend getting your hands on these while you can, because they'll probably disappear eventually. All right, my favorite releases of 2023. So I wanted to pick something that actually came out in 2023 that wasn't a reissue. So I did videos on both of these, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but these are two wonderful records that came out in 2023. Matteo Mancuso, wonderful guitar player. I did a full video on him. If you like the Joe Satriani, Steve Vai type thing, but he's got his own sound, a lot of cool clean sounds, very creative guitar player. I do recommend this. And I like this Sherinian Phillips, which is kind of a proggy, heavy rock with a little bit of jazz infusion in there. Great guitar playing by Bumblefoot on here. This is wonderful. I do recommend getting your hands on this. So those are two releases of 2023 that I really dig. An album which is in another language. Well, I thought that this, again, when we talk about classical music, it's still an underappreciated genre of music in the vinyl community. But this is a wonderful album of Baroque music, beautiful singing, a lot of Italian language used here by the great Cecilia Bartoli and the great cello player Saul Gabetta. Wonderful album, and cool packaging. I think it's on pink vinyl, which, again, I could take or leave, but beautiful music, and I recommend this. It comes with these pretty cool inner sleeves that I've replaced with anti-static sleeves. But I do like this album. It's beautiful. If you like Baroque music, this is really, if you're just getting into jazz, this is a great record. I mean, classical music, it's a great record to get started with, because it's that Baroque, very easy to listen to, and her singing is beautiful. So, all right. Prog rock masterpiece. I picked two. I did a whole video on the first one. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but everybody knows this is probably my favorite prog record of all time, and it is a masterpiece. Clutching at Straws. This is the box set. Not much needs to be said. Again, I did a whole video on this. I love this album. It is a prog masterpiece. One of the other ones that I think is a masterpiece that's not talked about a lot is the Chris Squire Fish Out of Water. And this is the box set that has the 5.1 in it as well as the record. Wonderful. I think it is also a masterpiece. I love listening to this. All right. An instrumental album. I could have done a ton of different jazz albums, but I decided to go with another classical record. Because again, it's, I think, underappreciated in the vinyl community. This series here, Original Source series from Deutsche Grammophon, is a great place. If you haven't gotten into a lot of classical music, this series is really putting out, I think, very accessible classical music that people can get into. But they sound fantastic. They're all taken from the original analog tapes. They sound wonderful. This is the Frederick Goulda, one of the most intense classical piano players you're ever going to run across, with piano concertos of Mozart number 25 and 27. Beautiful gatefold here. I do recommend getting your hands on this. Wonderful. All right, my favorite album cover. Yeah, I walked around looking at all the different records, but the one that finally stuck out to me, because I used to have this one out in my room displayed quite a bit, was this jazz album called Solid by Grant Green, and you can't get a cooler album cover than that. That really represents what's on the record. I mean, how cool do you get with that, with the cigarette, the glasses, the guitar? It's got the green hue, Grant Green Solid. This is off of the Blue Note SRX vinyl that was a special limited edition that came out. This is one of the ones I really wanted, and wonderful. Can't go wrong with the Blue Note stuff, right? So cool cover, definitely one of my favorites. Again, I walked around like for 30 minutes, like, oh, which one's it gonna be? And this one just stuck out to me. So Grant Green. A childhood favorite. Well, my mom, I remember getting this record for her when I was like 7 years old, maybe. This Elvis record. This was her album, God rest her soul. This still kind of holds a place in my heart. This Elvis record, when I was a kid, 7 years old, and my mom put it on that big record player, big entertainment center that we had, that they used to have back then, where you had the turntable on one side, the radio on the other side, and the big TV in the center. Anyway, this was, I remember her listening to this on that, and so yeah, album from my childhood. An album that I know every single song word for word, that would be this phenomenal album that's Robert Johnson, and it's because I listened to that double CD set for like years on end, almost, in my CD player on and off, just really digging the acoustic guitar playing of Robert Johnson, the haunting songs, the lyrics, and of course this being the root of a lot of the rock bands that came along in the 60s and the 70s, including Eric Clapton and the Rolling Stones, and even a lot of the prog bands, and they all loved Robert Johnson, got into Robert Johnson. So all these songs I pretty much memorized, and actually have learned a lot of them on acoustic guitar. So awesome. This is probably the best version that you can get him on as well. It's a record store day release. They're kind of expensive. Sounds really good though. But of course they're old recordings. So if you can't get this at a reasonable price, I would just go pick up one of the other ones, because again, these were recorded back in I think the 30s, so they're not the best sounding. Two albums of the same color scheme. Thanks for that one, Niamh. I walked around my house and like, I gotta find matching covers. You wouldn't think it'd be that difficult, but I did find two that I think match fairly well. Ashes and Fire, Ryan Adams, fantastic Americana album, and the classic Hendrix Electric Ladyland. I think they're pretty close. Same kind of color scheme, right? With the orange and the black. And anyways, that's one I definitely wouldn't have come up with, but again, that's 30 minutes I'll never have back of my time, but it was fun walking around looking at all. I actually came across a lot of different records I haven't listened to in a while. I have records in 3 different rooms, and so I'm walking around looking at them all, and I'm like, oh, I haven't listened to this in a while. I haven't listened to this in a while. So no, it was fun. So 2 album covers that have the same color scheme. An album which relaxes me, and we're actually listening to it right now. This beautiful album by one of the greatest female piano players, Helene Gramade. Wonderful. This is an absolutely beautiful record. You hear it playing in the background. Definitely relaxing, but just beautiful piano playing, and a lot of cool things on here by Claude Debussy, Frederick Chopin. The Debussy Arabesque #1 is haunting, wonderful album, and gatefold. You see this one? Wonderful album. All right, so that's my relaxing album choice. The heaviest record in my collection, I don't have a ton. I have a lot of the classic, what I would call classic heavy metal stuff like Iron Maiden and Metallica. But this album here to me stands alone. It's probably one of the heaviest albums in my collection. I'm not into a lot of the heavy, really that heavy, intense dark metal stuff that's out nowadays. It just doesn't catch my attention. But this album here is probably one of the heaviest ones in my collection. To me, it stands alone as one of the best heavy metal records ever made, and that's Rust in Peace. And so that is one of my heaviest records in my collection for sure. All right, one more to go. An album that I want to get in 2024. Well, I've been collecting the whole Acoustic Sounds Atlantic 75th series, which are absolutely phenomenal. I've done videos on all those, so if you haven't seen those, go check those out. I review all the different releases in that series, which range from rhythm and blues to classic rock to even jazz. So I'll definitely be getting those. But an album that's going to be coming out in 2024 in March is The Sky Will Still Be There by the great Charles Lloyd jazz album. And I'm listening to a lot of jazz nowadays, so I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to also some of these other Blue Note classic and tone poet series that will be coming out, and some of the other Acoustic Sounds jazz records that will be coming out. So all those are definitely on my radar for 2024. And I'm trying to, there's so many things coming out that it's hard to keep up with. So I really have to focus on picking up the records that I really, really want. So it's probably going to be more in the jazz vein. But again, I'm buying that Acoustic Sound Series Atlantic 75th anniversary, and those come every month, and it's 3 records, and they're $60 a piece. So that kind of digs into my vinyl budget to a pretty good extent. So, all right, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you watching. Thanks, Niamh, for putting this out, and I think it was a fun one to do, and hopefully more people will jump on board and do this vinyl tag. So take care, and happy listening to everybody. Take care.